Mastering punctuation marks. Let's begin our lecture with a punctuation mark period. Period, also known as full stop, is used at the end of a sentence. Apart from the end of a sentence, period is also used in many other places. Let's learn about some other uses of period. The first use is to place period at the end of a declarative sentence. For example, he drives a car. I'm waiting. I love those muffins. Use period in abbreviations for specific time periods, like months and days. Use period for abbreviating initials of a person's name. Whole name abbreviations are less common. For example, A. Einstein, M. Curie. Use periods for professionals and academic title abbreviations, for example, DR for doctor, PhD for Doctor of Philosophy. Some academic titles do not use period, like honors degrees and some professional certifications. Use periods for Latin phrases, such as exempli gratia and etc. Note that in American English we use periods inside the quotation and parentheses. Let's move towards question mark. Question mark. A punctuation symbol placed at the end of a sentence or phrase to indicate a question. Do you know about direct and indirect questions? A question that is asked directly and is usually clear and specific is called direct question. We place question mark at the end of every direct question. For example, when does the train leave? It is a question that is asked directly. Indirect question. A question that is reported rather than the exact words of the original question. There are two cases for putting a question mark at the end of indirect questions. Case 1. Indirect questions that ends with question mark. These indirect questions use modal verbs or question words to ask something. For example, could you tell me when the train leaves? Case 2. Indirect questions that do not end with question mark. These indirect questions begin with a subject and a reported clause begin with question words. For example, he asked me when the train leaves. Now it's turn for exclamation point. Exclamation mark, known informally as bang or shriek, is used at the end of a sentence or short phrase which expresses very strong feeling. For example, that's fantastic. No way. The night was terrific. Bare exclamation marks are used in warning signs. Note: never use 2 or 3 exclamation marks in a row. Do not put comma or full stop after an exclamation mark, and also try to avoid exclamation marks in business and formal academics. Now turn to comma. Comma indicates pause between words, phrases, or clauses. Do you know about the 5 main rules of using commas? Let's dive into it. Rule number 1. Use commas between items in a series. For example, she eats an apple, a banana, and a peach. Ali sold perfumes, pottery, jewelry, and jackets. Don't use comma when the series contain only two items. So we won't put commas in. She eats an apple and a banana. Ali sold perfumes and pottery. Rule number 2. Put comma after an introductory material. Pushing and shoving each other, the ladies rushed into the sales section. After the mother had given the baby a bath, it fell asleep. Rule number 3. Put commas around the words that interrupt the flow of a sentence. For example, my mother, who is very old, complains that I do not give her enough time. In the above example, who is very old interrupts the flow, so we put commas around it. Rule number 4. Insert a comma between two complete thoughts that are joined by a conjunction. Each of the thought has to have its own subject and verb. For example, I went to the store and I bought some milk. She wanted to go to the beach, but it was raining outside. Rule number 5. Comma must come before a direct quotation. For example, my mother says, study hard for the exam. He whispered, I'm scared. Apostrophe. Apostrophe has two functions. It shows possession. It forms contraction. Possession means that something belongs to someone or something else. Here are some rules for using apostrophe in singular and plural noun. Rule number 1. When the noun is singular, we add s. For example, Shakespeare's poem, Sarah's jacket. Rule number 2. When the plural noun ends with s, then we add single apostrophe without s. For example, ladies' bathroom, the student's books. Rule number 3. For plural nouns that do not end with s, we add s. For example, women's clothes, sheep's herd. Rule number 4. When the possession belongs to more than one person or thing, then add apostrophe to the last one. For example, mom and dad's car. Rule number 4. When the possession belongs to more than one person or thing, then add apostrophe to the last one. For example, mom and dad's car. Rule number 5. British English do not uses apostrophe in pluralizing date, while in American English we write it as. In contraction, an apostrophe represents the omitted letter. Here are the examples of apostrophe in contraction. Quotation marks. Quotation marks are used to set off direct speech or dialogue, indicate a quote, highlight a phrase or a word for emphasis, set off titles of books, movie, or articles. Here are the examples. Quotation marks for direct speech. What time is it? He asked the nurse. For marking quotation, Al-Ghazali once said, "The greatest victory is over yourself." Quotation for emphasis. Our English teacher is very polite. This is called scare quoting or emphasis quoting. Quotation for title. I have read the poem, The Daffodils. Now move towards capitalization and quotation marks. When the quoted material gives a complete sense, then capitalize the first letter of a direct quote. For example, the teacher said, "Let's start the lesson." If the quoted material does not give a complete sense, then do not capitalize the first letter of a direct quote. For example, this is the most expensive car. Single and double quotation marks. For American English, single quotation marks goes inside double quotation marks. In this example, we use single quotation marks inside double quotation marks. While in the British English, the case is reversed. In British English, we use double quotation marks inside single quotation marks. Colon and semicolon. Semicolon is used to join two complete sentences into a single written sentence. A semicolon must be preceded by a complete sentence and followed by a complete sentence. For example, I am a morning person. My sister is a night owl. In this example, both the sentences are complete sentences, so we joined it by semicolon. Colon indicates a break between two sentences to introduce a list, quotation, explanation, or emphasis. Here are the examples. We use colon for introducing a list. Use colon for introducing a quotation. Use colon for emphasizing a point. Use colon in time. Try to avoid this common mistake. Note that do not follow colon by a hyphen. Do not follow the phrase, for example, by colon, instead use comma. Ellipsis. A punctuation mark used to represent a pause or that something has been intentionally left out. Ellipses are also used to create a sense of drama, suspense, or mystery. Ellipsis for pause. Here are the examples. Ellipsis for omitted words. Ellipsis can replace the omitted words in the beginning, middle, or at the end. Ellipses are used at the beginning in this way. Ellipses in the middle are used in this way. Ellipses at the end are used in this way. Ellipsis for mystery, suspense, or drama. Ellipsis for mysterious effect. For example, I know who did it, but I will never tell. Ellipsis for creating suspense. For example, as I walked in, I realized I wasn't alone. Ellipsis to create sense of drama. For example, I'm leaving and I'm not coming back. Hyphen versus dash. A hyphen is used to connect words to form compound words or to join some prefixes to words. This includes compound adjective or compound nouns. Compound adjectives are hyphenated when they are used before nouns. Compound adjective before noun. Compound adjective after noun. Compound nouns can also be hyphenated. For example, self-portrait, well-being, co-pilot. Dash. Dash is used to indicate break between sentences or change in the thought flow. There are two types of dashes: em dashes and en dashes. Em dash. Em dashes are usually used in place of another punctuation marks like colon, semicolon, brackets. En dash. En dashes are shorter than em dashes and are mainly used to show ranges. Difference between hyphen and dash. Dashes are longer and are used between phrases or clauses. Hyphens are shorter, used between prefixes and words to make compound words. Brackets and parentheses. Parenthesis is used to add extra information to text or for defining acronyms. We add parenthesis for information added. We define the acronym USA in parenthesis. Note that the acronyms that are well known or are repeated several times in a text are not defined by parenthesis. If the text in parenthesis convey a complete meaning, then the period is used inside the parenthesis, while in British English period is used outside the parenthesis. In this example, the text inside the parenthesis convey full meaning, so we put period inside parenthesis, while in British we put period outside the parenthesis. Brackets. Brackets are used to add extra information to quotations or text by someone else. In this example, the brackets around the word Ferrari shows that this is not written or said by the original writer. When the writer wants to add extra information to quotations or text, then parenthesis will be used, but when someone else other than writer adds the same, so brackets will be used. Now you can clearly distinguish the words of the original writer by the use of parenthesis and brackets. Thanks for punctuating your day with us. The best is yet to come, so stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe. If you like the video, subscribe my channel and press the bell icon.